Israel reportedly carried out airstrikes in Syria overnight. According to Syrian media reports, the several missiles targeted Aleppo International Airport for the second time in recent weeks. Other reports claimed separate airstrikes hit targets around Damascus and in Latakia on the Mediterranean coast. There were no reports of casualties or damage or information on the specific targets of the airstrikes, but there is reports of damages to the airport. There was no comments from the Israel Defense Forces in line with its policy of not commenting on air raids in Syria. Israel is believed to have carried out hundreds of strikes on targets inside government-controlled parts of Syria in recent years to deter Iranian allied proxy groups. And joining me now in studio is I-24 News defense correspondent Jonathan Regev and our correspondent Pia Steckelbach. Jonathan, I want to start with you this morning. This is the second round of airstrikes in recent weeks. Is Israel ramping up its offensive against Iranian proxies in Syria?
I don't think Israel is ramping up simply because that activity is ongoing all the time. It's something that is ongoing. The change that we have seen in recent weeks, more targets in Aleppo, not less in Damascus, but adding Aleppo to Damascus. Why so? Let's go back a bit more than a month ago, the earthquake in northern Syria and Turkey. A lot of convoys arrived into Turkey, far less convoys arrived to Syria. If they did arrive, they arrived from Iran. Were they carrying assistance? I didn't check them personally. My guess would be mostly no. That these shipments from Iran contain mostly they're disguised perhaps as humanitarian relief for the people there of northern Syria, but they contain more of military assistance for the Iranian proxies in Syria, for Hezbollah in Lebanon. That is why we're seeing Israel more focused on that area of Aleppo in northern Syria, adding to Damascus, which is always the main target.
Jonathan, the Institute of the Study of War published a report that Russia has requested a UN Security Council meeting to discuss Israeli strikes in Syria. What could be the repercussions of such a meeting?
Of course, it's concerning because at least on paper, this is one country attacking another one. We're not seeing Israeli claims of responsibility for most of these strikes exactly for this reason.
Right. But the UN has remained relatively quiet when it comes to these strikes, almost like a sort of tacit understanding.
That is correct. There seems to be, I think if we look at the main success of the main Israeli success in this undercover war in Syria, it is the fact that there's an understanding among practically everybody, the United Nations, the Security Council, and Russia, which is basically the landlord there in Syria. Everybody understands that these strikes will continue. Just think what would happen if this would happen in neighboring Lebanon. I mean, and then this would lead to a major escalation. In Syria, there's sort of a quiet understanding among everybody. These attacks will continue. You, the Israelis, don't brag too much about it. Don't assume too much responsibility. Keep it low. And there seems to be an understanding that this can go on. If there will be some kind of a change to this policy, this of course will be something that Israel will not want to see. At least for now, these attacks continue, and we saw that overnight.